one of the first signings that the New England Patriots made was they signed former Raiders linebacker Robert Spillane, I believe I'm saying that right, Robert Spillane, to a 3-year deal worth $37 million. So he's making on average just over $10 million per year. Now, this is somebody that has ties back to the Patriots, this organization, to the current coaching staff. And that is going to be a trend. That is something that you guys are going to see here on a regular basis, is that a lot of these signings, especially here on day one that they've made, heavily have to do with ties back to Josh McDaniels, to Mike Vrabel, to Terrell Williams. They're getting guys in here that they're familiar with. And a lot of people are going to say, why don't you go out and get external guys? Why are we consistently coming in here signing guys that, they've had in past regimes? The reason they're doing this is the same reason that multiple organizations, franchises that are in year one of a new coaching staff, usually what they do is they bring in players immediately that they are familiar with and that they can rely on while they're turning over the roster. So expect the Patriots to make a lot of moves here this offseason that have to do with ties back to each individual side. Offensively, getting ties back to Josh McDaniels. Defensively, ties back to Mike Vrabel and Terrell Williams. But I asked my boy Graphic Raider, who some might know him, some might not. And I hit him up and I was like, hey, bro, what do you think about Robert Spillane coming from the Raiders? And this is what he had to say. He said, and I quote, "You're going to love him, bro. A thumper and a leader in the locker room. Pedestrian in coverage, but will lead your team in tackles. Plays through injuries. Dude is a stud." Texts me a few hours later. It goes, "Definitely overpaid, though. Got to be real," which, again, we just talked about. We knew that he was gonna be a bit of an overpay. But Spillane is going to be one of those guys that I think comes in and can immediately be the number one linebacker for the Patriots. I think this move could more than likely fish out one of the Patriots linebackers, top linebackers. I think Juwan Bentley, Jelani Tavai, with this move, one of those guys is more than likely probably going to be out. Maybe the Patriots just keep them as depth for a year, but if they can get some type of draft capital, I would say that they're out. I would say that, and I hate to say this because he's a captain, he's such a great player, but if they get rid of anybody at the linebacker position, it's probably going to be Jelani Tavai. I think the depth that the Patriots have outside of Juwan Bentley actually makes sense in Vrabel's system. I think Jelani Tavai is someone that could fit the system, but they're going to start flushing out those big, slow, thumping, downhill linebackers who are simply there to stop the run. What Vrabel's going to want in a linebacker is Vrabel's going to want a guy with high IQ who can be a leader, but also has some speed, some sideline to sideline speed. He's not necessarily going to look for guys that are going to be ballers in coverage per se. You got to be able to at least hold your own in coverage, not be terrible, not be a complete liability. But what he's going to look for is linebackers who can, one, stop the run, but two, set the edge and get to the quarterback. He does not want these one-dimensional guys who are simply there to plug holes and stop the run. And that kind of classifies under what we've known from these linebackers under Bill Belichick and under Gerard Mayo. Even looking at his numbers real quick, let me see if I can share this with you guys, actually. Make sure I got these PFF numbers up. Make sure I pull this. Robert Spillane. All right. Pull this up here from PFF for you guys real quick to share a little bit of insight. Come on over here. There we go. All right. So when it comes to Robert Spillane, this past season with the Raiders, had an overall grade of 68.4. That ranked 66 out of a qualifying 189 linebackers. He had a pass rush grade of 67.4. That was 40th out of a qualifying 189 linebackers, so not too bad. Where he really shined was as a run defender. 87.3 overall run defensive grade. That ranked 8th among a qualifying 189 linebackers. Coverage grade, though, not very good. Like we heard from Graphic Raider, he's going to be pedestrian in coverage. This isn't a guy that you should rely on to be a coverage linebacker. Ranked 137th out of a qualifying 189 linebackers. I think that's okay, though. I think guys like Jabril Peppers, Kyle Duggar, Marte Mapu, those guys can play in the box. They can play hybrid linebackers if they want, some guys there in the middle of the field that are going to be a little bit better in coverage. The other thing, too, here is that Spillane doesn't just have relations back to Josh McDaniels from when he was on the Raiders, but he also has experience with Mike Vrabel. Spillane was a former UDFA by Mike Vrabel and the Tennessee Titans at one point. I think he only played like 1 year, I want to say. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but I want to say 1 year under Mike Vrabel's Tennessee Titans. But overall, this past season, put up 110 solo tackles. That ranked third in the NFL out of a qualifying 189 linebackers, 2 sacks, 47 assisted tackles, 0 forced fumbles, 51 total stops, 10 total missed tackles. For the most part, I know people are going to hear them like, 10 missed tackles. For the most part, Spillane is a guy that is a very short tackler. That's something that Mike Vrabel is trying to bring to this defense, is guys that know where to be. They're going to be in the proper place. And when a guy comes their way, they're going to be short tacklers. And that was a massive problem for the Patriots last season. Honestly, has been a problem for the Patriots over the last few years. But this is where, again, in coverage, you see he's a bit of a liability. When quarterbacks threw his way, quarterbacks had a passer rating of 111, but he also put up 13 total pressures. Again, a guy that's going to be a leader, a guy that's always going to be around the ball, a guy that's going to do really, really well in stopping the run for you, which is going to be a trend you guys are going to see with some of the guys that they're bringing in, but a guy that can also set the edge, get to the quarterback a little bit if need be. I like this move by the Patriots. Like I said, I do think it was a bit of an overpay, but at this point with where they're at, they have to overpay for players. I also want to look at his 2023 numbers just so you guys get a little bit of a better idea on who he is. In 2023, had an overall grade of 77.1. That ranked 27th out of a qualifying 179 linebackers. His pass rush grade was 87.7. That ranked third among a qualifying 179 linebackers. Another elite run defensive grade of an 89. He was just under elite, just under that 90 overall mark. That ranked 6th out of a qualifying 179 linebackers. And then again, we get to the coverage grade, 59 overall grade, 101 out of a qualifying 179 linebackers, put up 96 total solo tackles that season. Also put up 4 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 52 total stops. That ranked 13th in the NFL. His 4 sacks ranked 9th in the NFL that season. 17 total missed tackles, a 92.6 overall passer rating allowed when quarterbacks threw his way, and 19 total pressures. Overall, I think Mike Vrabel is going to bring back just wanting good linebackers here. I mean, when is the last time the Patriots had like a true game-defying linebacker? I love Juwan Bentley. All right, I love Jelani Tavai. But maybe Dante Hightower, maybe like 2019 Jamie Collins. They haven't had that guy in a while. And I think Spillane, when we look back at it, we're going to say that he's a leader of men, and he's going to be somebody that I think can quickly become a fan favorite.